Welcome to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mike McDowell. Russell Jackman will probably be joining us next week from assignment of shoulder surgery, so to speak. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a trivia question. We have miscellaneous trivia is our theme. This is our first show of 2025, so hopefully we'll cover the year in sports and college football. Aaron Rodgers, is it time to retire? What about LeBron? Steph Curry? Talk about maybe some college coaches who were being sued by their players. We'll find out why. Super Bowl potential. Bills and Lions would, if that happens, we'd have a first-time winner. Lions haven't been in the Super Bowl yet, but the Bills 4 in a row lost. And then the Pop-Tart Bowl. Did you see that? What? It was so cute.
Pop-Tart Bowl, man. That is the coolest bowl game around. I'm sorry.
It is. I'll bet you. I'd like to find out how many Pop-Tarts were sold after that. Yeah.
Did you see the trophy presentation?
Yeah. Yeah. And then they all decide which one they're going to eat. Like cinnamon and so, and boom, they just dive it. I mean, I think it's a really cute. It's fun. It's definitely makes sports fun. And then the NFL on Netflix. I mean, what's going to happen next? Hulu, HBO, Showtime, Disney Plus. I mean, it's going to get kind of crazy.
You know, quite frankly, Edward, who cares? And second of all, and I don't mean that to diffuse the subject, but let's just talk about the Pop-Tart poll, the whole game, the whole show. I mean, nothing's better than talking about Pop-Tarts. What flavor do you like? Because that presentation, and we'll save it for the show, but that presentation is the best in college football. It's awesome.
I thought that was really, really good. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowell. First of all, Happy New Year to all of our listeners across the world, because we also have not just the United States syndicated across hundreds of stations, but Armed Forces Radio. We salute our brothers and sisters of arms in the armed forces. So something I forgot to mention before when we cut out like all the various things we wanted to talk about. Teoscar Hernandez, baseball player, hit 272, 33 home runs, 12 stolen bases. He gets a 3-year, $66 million contract for the Dodgers for hitting 272. I mean, yeah, 33 home runs is a lot, but yeah. Really? 272 and 12 stolen bases? I mean, I guess he's I think he's a shortstop. Okay, so then Tigers signed former Yankee second baseman Kleber Torres to a 1-year, $15 million contract. He only hit 257 with 15 home runs and 63 RBIs and 26 doubles, okay? The Diamondbacks signed Corbin Burns from the Orioles to a $210 million contract. He pitched 194 innings with a 2.92 ERA and 181 Ks. I mean, Mike, you and I are worth at least half that much, aren't we?
I would say so. First of all, Edward, and you did not give me a chance to respond, but it's critically important that I say this. I want to say to you, my friend, my broadcast partner, Happy New Year. And I also want to thank you for allowing me to be part of your show. And this is a real blessing. And you have to be grateful as we begin the new year for our blessings, because there were some challenges in 2024 for me personally. And life is not always easy. But anyways, the bottom line is it's a blessing to be part of your show. So Happy New Year to you, your wife, and your family. And you know, this is a great, yes. But, you know, speaking, and thank you, Edward. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this new year, aren't you? I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. I mean, there were, regarding these baseball players, capitalism. I mean, what else can I say? I mean, good for them. No, they're not worth it. They're not worth it. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're hitting, what'd you say that? What's that new Dodger hitting? What?
272, 33
Yeah.
home runs, 12 stolen bases.
I mean, 33 home runs is
Weird.
a night is definitely worthy, but
Yeah.
no, 12 stolen bases. Um, you know, a guy who would be worth the money, and I'm not trying to ditch this topic at all, but I think it's something that you and I really need to talk about. Is the greatest leadoff hitter to ever play baseball, Ricky
Ricky Henderson.
Henderson.
Yeah.
And Ricky just passed away. We didn't
Yeah.
get a chance to talk about his passing, but talk about a 5, 8 tool player. The guy did it out. The guy did it all. The
Yep.
guy did it all. He was obviously could hit the ball. Once he got on base, he was a weapon
Yep.
every time. And he was offensively, he was brilliant. Defensively, he was superb. Golden
Yep.
Glove winner. But Ricky Henderson, Hall of Fame player, died at 65. Really tragic. Pneumonia. And if you look at him, you look at his physical body, some of the pictures of him, he looks just like a behemoth, a
Yep.
god, doesn't he?
Yeah,
But
he does.
I know you and I are in the Bay Area and grew up around the A's, and I'm sure that Ricky Henderson, must have had a tremendous impact because he was Oakland A's baseball as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and, eventually, I mean, he played for like 9 different teams, and
Right.
the Yankees, he made a big impact too, and to a lesser extent, Toronto, but the other other teams he played for too. But yeah, no, definitely, you think of Oakland because if I remember, he's also an Oakland native too, wasn't he?
I believe it was. Yeah, I believe it was from
Yeah.
this area. And to me, I you're right. I can't. When you just said that, I cannot believe that um, he wore that many different uniforms. But to me, I just picture him in an A's uniform. To me,
Me
he
too.
is. You talk about Ricky Henderson and Reggie Jackson. To me,
Yeah.
that's A's baseball. Put the picture in there. I was a massive fan of. We're not going to talk about the A's, but I see their president just quit. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
Vita Blue. To me, that's like A's baseball.
He passed on.
Just for yeah, well, let's hope Reggie stays around for a while. But yeah, it's just a big loss to the game of baseball, and just he was a special guy. I don't know what he did off the field. I'm sure he helped people. I hope, So I just hope he's a. I believe he wore a cross every time. I believe I think he loves God, so that's good. I hope he's with them right now.
That's
So
most important. That is the most important. Yeah, he's one of those guys who it's like no matter what you were doing, he'd stop and watch. Because
yeah,
greatest leadoff hitter of all time. I mean, I don't even think there's a close second. Maybe did Rod Carew was he the leadoff hitter? He might have
yeah, he
been.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
another Hall.
was.
But Ricky hit for power as well. I don't know what his lifetime average was. 280, 290, maybe. I don't think he was a 300.
I don't know what Ricky. That's a you know I'll have to look that up because I don't know what his lifetime. Let's see. He played 25 seasons in the major leagues. 25.
Was it
That's
that many years? Wow.
says
But I know he
he,
was the
he was known as the Man of Steel, right?
yeah,
To
yeah. And
25, 9 teams from 1979 to 2003. Played for the A's, and just
the Rangers.
I'm trying to find his stats right here, but
I think the Giants
batting
are about
average batting average 275, 279, Edward.
270. Okay, that's what I said
So
about 280.
yeah, you're
You know,
right.
if you remember,
3,055 hits,
yeah, yeah.
297 home runs, batted in 1,115. Stolen bases, ready for this one? 1,406.
That one's gonna be tough to
So
beat.
that one's
That's
going to
gonna
be
be
tough to beat.
yeah.
I
And if you remember, he was the 5,000 strikeout with Nolan Ryan. I
that
remember. I remember.
I do.
I remember. Yeah.
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 Talking about another legend, Nolan Ryan. Man, I'd love to get him on our show.
We'd love to get him on.
Well,
Did you see the documentary on him? You got to
yeah,
watch that. Yeah, no, if you didn't, it's really good. The
is
same
that
thing
where
with
he showed?
that's a good one too.
Because he basically is a rancher, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah, and
I mean,
like,
he's a real cowboy,
oh yeah.
he's a tough guy.
I
I
mean,
mean,
can you
he's a
imagine
tough.
throwing as hard as he did for as many years? I mean,
Yeah,
it's like he never slowed down.
he
It was
keeps going. He's
yeah.
got I think he's got a work ethic that you call the old phrase "second to none." It's true.
Yeah, yeah, facing him. In fact, but I do remember Will Clark. The first pitch he saw in the major league was hitting a home run off Nolan Ryan. First pitch.
That's quite a resume
Yeah,
starter.
and I don't
Uh,
think Will Clark. I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame, but he would
well,
probably be a leg below if he wasn't.
yeah, he's one of those. He's one of those players where you kind of say, well, I mean, I love him. He was a competitor, played at Mississippi State, and
Yeah,
was one of those guys that just played the game right, kind of like Pete Rose, man. I mean,
yeah, yeah. In
he,
fact, and in fact, if I remember correctly, it was after Mitch Williams, he read his lips that now they talk inside their mitt. Hey, we got to go to a commercial break here. What?
already.
Yeah, can you believe it? What city was home to the first movie theater in the United States? Now, I'm gonna give you the year. Not necessarily that'll help you, but it's interesting. 1896. What city was home to the first movie theater in the United States? Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that phone. We're gonna be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Mike McDowd. First trivia question. What city was home to the first movie theater in the United States?
Okay. Question for you. You got to give me a little hint. Was it not a major city?
Well, you've heard of the city for sure. I don't think one would consider it a major city. It's not the capital, but it is a well-known city, mostly for music, mostly
Uh,
for
okay.
jazz,
Okay. Did you say what?
mostly for jazz music.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah. Isn't that weird? New Orleans, that first movie theater. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
these questions are a little off. I might have to kind of give you some hints, but they're just sort of fun ones.
Yeah.
So,
Good
yeah,
question.
okay. The NFL, Netflix. I mean, they've done it Amazon Prime, and most people have Amazon Prime, and not everybody has Netflix. And then sometimes you don't even know. It's like it's not advertised, or it's not easy to find. I mean, what do? You go online and go Google, say, where can I watch, this game? In fact, last year, wasn't it like the Chiefs game you had to get Peacock or something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Uh,
Um, it is crazy, and I'll say this just because um, you want as wide an audience as possible. And what that tells me is that they don't care about the person that say can't afford that. They can afford basic cable. Times are tough. So what the NFL is saying, no, if you want to watch us, our precious little product, and it's a good one. I'm not stating that at all. You have to subscribe to Netflix or Apple or one of the other services
yeah,
where we carry our games, and you have to subscribe to it. And that is really, and we've known about it. I know a guy who actually innovated the subscription type service to pay for, sports. I think that's where they've always wanted to go with this.
yeah,
Um,
because it's always been free on ABC, CBS, and Fox.
yeah, I mean, but yet, yeah, you
ABC.
just nailed it right there. I mean, are you telling me? And I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me, but are you telling me that more people watch Netflix than ABC, CBS, NBC, or Fox? I don't believe that.
No, but you know what? I gotta think that Netflix said we're gonna pay, $2 billion or whatever. And the NFL goes, yeah, we don't care. I mean, as long as you pay us,
That's
then it's up to Netflix or whoever to get subscribers and then the adverts. I'm trying to remember, do they have advertisers during the game? They might have some.
they must. They must.
Yeah.
I think. You know what? I didn't watch the game. I
I
didn't
mean,
watch the game.
well, here's the funny thing is that you could subscribe for free for like, then cancel it. You know, so it's very disappointing. Let's put it that way, because
Yeah.
we're especially for like a playoff game. I mean,
Right.
that's not American.
Right. No, yeah, no. You're right. You're right.
Well, just wait till
Um,
they start separating it out. Hulu, HBO, Showtime, Peacock, Max, Disney Plus.
right. So
Right? I mean,
now
what's next?
for the
Boom.
playoffs, they're not going to make. Is it going to be on Netflix as well?
I don't know. I mean, again, to watch that Chiefs game, which was a really important game, you had to go to Peacock. I mean, how many people have Peacock? How many people knew it was going to be on Peacock?
No. No. Yeah. Exactly. Excuse me.
All right. So moving back, let's move back on to the Pop Tart Bowl. So when I was a kid, and they came out with Pop Tarts, I think it's when I was a kid they came out, and blueberry was the bomb, and then they came out with the frosted ones, and then the chocolate frosted or the chocolate
Right.
blueberry. I mean, they had my heart after that for the Pop Tart. But
Um.
it's very fun though to watch everyone sort of have the Pop Tarts pop up. I mean, it was silly, but it was fun silly.
I'm sorry. Who was in that bowl game? Do you remember? I watched it for a little bit.
I
Trying to think
can't
heck who
remember.
was. What?
I
No,
can't remember. It was just such a fun Pop Tart thing that I'd have to go back and look at it.
I apologize, but when you don't know, you got to look it up.
Look at it. Yeah.
You
Okay.
know,
Well,
it's one of the coolest, most innovative
yeah.
way for marketing. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody loves it. The old, the middle, the young. Um, it was played in Orlando. I remember that. And it's just, here you pick out the flavor, and then all of a sudden the guy goes to the top of the toaster, jumps in, and voila. I mean, does it get any better than that?
No, that's the best. All right. Hey, moving on. Okay, so back to football again. If you have a Super Bowl with the Bills and the Lions, one of those teams is finally going to win, or it could be Minnesota and the Bills. They've each lost 4 Super Bowls, so we're gonna have a brand new winner if it's either of those teams. What do you think? Any predictions?
I think we're gonna have a brand new winner. I mean, you know, uh, I think, well, since my team, the 49ers, is not going to be in it, I think it's high tide. I'm personally rooting for the, Detroit Lions because of the local connection by the name of Jared Goff. But you look at the Bills, 13-3 overall,
Yeah.
and they really are a team to reckon with, I believe. Josh Allen is a superb quarterback. I mean, he's really doing good.
Right? You don't get too many 245-pound quarterbacks anymore, so he's almost like a running back in a way.
He is. He is. He's and his story is so remarkable. Nobody wanted him. Josh Allen, the Bills. Nobody wanted him. I think he only had one team finally recruit him. He played JUCO football, and finally ended up at the University of Wyoming after he wrote all these coaches. And one coach, the Wyoming coach, finally, I don't know, paid attention and looked at him, and look where he is now. He's an all-pro quarterback. He's on the verge of potentially winning a Super Bowl. And, it's just one of the great stories in football. It's
Well, one of the things
it really
one of the things
good.
really helps is he's tall also. I don't know how tall he is, like 6'4" or something. Yeah, whereas like
Yeah,
Brock Purdy is, I don't know, maybe 6 foot, 6'1" maybe, and he gets a
yeah,
lot of of his passes blocked. Doug Flutie used to have that problem because he was 5'10" or something.
yeah, yeah. Well, you say Doug Flutie. I got to tell you, I interviewed Doug Flutie when he played in the Canadian Football League. He played for the British Columbia Lions,
Yeah,
and I got to tell you something. He was truly one of the nicest guys I met. Um, just very affable, and would talk to me. And this was prior to his success in the National Football League.
yeah.
He was great, man. He was a first class guy, and just had the heart of a champion. And, I personally am not a tall guy, so when I don't know what was he, 5'11", maybe
No,
5'10"?
I don't think he's that. No, he's somewhere like 5'9", maybe 5'10"
Was he?
at the
Was
most.
he? I mean, who does that anymore? I mean, do you not root for guys like that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Man, I still remember. I think it was 1984, Boston College over Miami Hurricanes. It's one of
You
the most
got it,
famous
man.
college plays. Yeah.
And by the way, it was Iowa State who beat Miami in the Pop Tart Ball. Okay,
Ah,
how about those Cyclones? You got
I
10,
mentioned
10
the
and 3
team.
this year, 10-2. Hmm?
So teams usually it's like they want the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl. You watch that Pop-Tart Bowl. People are going to be going, no, 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 that's the one I want to play in.
I agree. I agree 100%. Is there anything else in the NFL that surprised you? When you look at the standings a little bit here, Edward, and you know, I mean,
The
okay,
cream of the crop,
Baltimore's left, huh?
the cream of the crop is rising. I mean, if
Oh,
it's
look,
possible. We're looking at Detroit all the time, but Minnesota might be the top seed.
yeah, but who's got the best record in the league is the freaking Chiefs, 15
Yeah,
and
yeah,
1.
15-1. Yeah,
15 and 1, and then you go down to the NFC East, and you see 13-3 Eagles, the
yeah,
Lions 14-2, Tampa's 9-7 is not a great record. I mean, it's a
yeah.
winning record, but it's not great. How are
No,
they going to do? And then I think, yeah, I got to say this, it's really hard. I'm not going to say it's the worst division in football, but it's definitely not the best. The NFC West, the Rams
yeah,
10-6, Seattle, and then our 49ers having one of the worst records in recent memory, of course, due to injuries, 6-10, which is
yeah.
pretty tough stuff.
It is.
So
I don't think any of the West teams are going to. No, they're not going to make it past the next round. Okay, tell you what, we're going to get to another break if you can believe it. Which fruit is essentially a clone of itself? Isn't that
whoa.
weird? That's a weird one. I mean, there's only so many fruits we know. It's a normal fruit. It's nothing weird. That's our trivia question. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back.
Good one here, Edward.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. That was Mike McDowell, and I'm Edward Brown. So let's do our trivia question first. Which fruit is essentially a clone of itself? Pick a fruit, any fruit.
Tangerine.
A banana. Don't
Really?
ask me why, but a
I,
banana.
I,
I have no
I
idea.
won't. I won't. I
The
won't.
next question is kind of a fun. This could be a fun, interesting one. All right, you said you got something for me. Hiccup. That's what
Yeah,
I got.
I don't know if you heard about this, but the FAA is looking into a really scary situation. The Gonzaga basketball team, Gonzaga University hoops team, was at LAX, and apparently the team airplane was getting ready to cross a runway as another flight was taking off this past Friday. So it could have had a air traffic controllers directed that was Key Lime Air Flight 563 to hold short. In fact, they made an emergency. They said, stop, stop, stop. Urgently called out the Key Lime airplane to stop immediately as the Delta jet was taking off at LAX. That could have been disastrous. I don't know if you've seen the video, Edward, but It's
Uh,
and it really not only just general public safety, people like myself or you, our family members, we're not the VIPs, so to speak, but when you got these, you know, teams who literally make millions of dollars now for your universities, something yeah, that could have been an absolute disaster.
1971, Marshall, the whole
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
Okay. So I got an interesting story about airplanes like that. So my wife and I were flying down to, I think it was Long Beach from SFO. And as we're taxiing, as we're ready to taxi, the pilot, this guy was perfect. He says, okay, so we were going to come in at gate number 14, but we've been rerouted to gate number 2. It's like, okay, well, what do we care, right? So as we're taxing, I'm looking outside and I counted them. There were 15 fire engines, and I see bits of airplane that's on fire as we're passing. And fortunately, the pilot he didn't really say anything much. He just kind of drove right by. When we got out, the people who were supposed to meet us said, "Oh my God, thank God you're okay." We go, "What happened?" You look on the TV screen. This was the one where a U.S. airplane had landed on top of another another. I don't know if it was U.S. Air or United or something, but we were on the flight just before, and it was just like the same number, that there was whatever, and they thought it was us that was in there. Can you imagine
Uh,
that? I don't know.
no,
Not too many people died on that. A few people did, obviously, because plane lands on
and
another
that
plane.
and that was at Long Beach.
Well, I think it was in Long Beach, yeah. Back in
Wow.
1988 or 91, 1990, something like that. Look it up because we eventually saw it and we go, holy crudge. There's a plane on top of another plane. Okay, so on that happy note, I've got a silly joke of the week. You ready? Here's a silly joke. So a guy placed an ad at a local affairs website. I have 2 tickets for Super Bowl, both box seats. I paid $2,500 for each ticket, but I didn't realize last year when I bought them that it was going to be on the same day as my wedding. I'm looking for someone to take my place. The wedding is at St. Thomas Church, Providence, at 3 p.m. Her name is Amanda. She's about 5'6", 130 pounds. She'll be the one in the white dress.
That's cute. I like
That's so
that.
cute. You like
It,
that? Okay. So now we're getting to the new year. So LeBron turned 40, and
yeah,
I think he's what, 38, maybe 38, 39, maybe.
yeah, oh,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, yesterday was his birthday, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah.
Or
Uh,
that yesterday would have been what was that Monday?
yeah. So yeah. The 30th was LeBron's birthday because I know he's got 1984 tattooed on there. So that's how I know how old he is. Um, So do you think? I mean, he's still playing pretty well, and Steph's off a little bit, but I mean, these guys talking about retiring, and then what about Aaron Rodgers? Boy, that last game, he just didn't seem like he wanted to be out there.
Um, I think ultimately he regrets playing for the Jets. Not a good football team. They got rid of Salah, their head coach. It's a team that's not strong. I don't know how many years Rodgers signed his contract for, but I think if you put him on a really really good team, he's still got something left in the tank, and I think he believes that. Look at Tom Brady. He's a good example.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Rodgers got sacked more than anybody, even more than Tom Brady. When he just beat the record 500. Can you imagine? I think it's 568. Can you imagine being tackled 568 times? Now some of them are going to
No,
be like grabbing an ankle, but the other ones are going to be
no.
like put you in the hospital potentially.
Hey, hey, Edward, I got a quick transition, but it's an important question because money wise, one of the biggest money makers around, somewhat, I don't know what it's going to bring in, but is the college football playoffs. And, I know that our show is going to be aired over the weekend. And, look at the games that are on tap. We've got eh, number one, Oregon against Ohio State. Number two, Georgia against my fighting Irish. Go Irish.
Mhm.
I want them to win.
Yeah.
And then the game, two other really super interesting games. In Boise State was favored over Penn State. Of course, I know the games are going to be over with by the time the show airs. But and then, and of course, uh, I think you and I have a little bit of a heart for Boise State because our friend Chris Fulton, who was on our show, one of the great Bay Area basketball players, his son is the backup quarterback at Boise, and they're playing Penn State for the Fiesta Bowl. That's going to be really fun, and we can talk
Yeah.
about that. And the last game, Edward, that's a total surprise. How about those Sun Devils of Arizona State against number 5? How'd they do? We'll find out real soon because, like I said, I know the show airs after the games. But boy, what a interesting college football playoff, particularly Boise State and Arizona State, two teams you don't really. Yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah.
Arizona State especially.
Boise State's had some good teams for the last 10 years.
Oh,
You know?
probably. Longer.
Yeah.
Don't you remember the famous play where they played Oklahoma? They had the Statue of Liberty play in
Yeah.
the Orange Bowl.
How
That
long
was
ago? That was
it
more
was
than 10 years?
it was 2007.
Oh, okay.
And
So,
so they've
wow.
been around. So no, they've been good for 20 years at least. And
Wow.
to me, Edward, I was at the 1982 play with the band, the Cal Stanford game where the band is on the field, which is
Yeah.
one of the all-time great games. But I I think that Boise State Oklahoma game was one of the best games in the history of college football. It was
That
phenomenal.
it's still very exciting. In fact, and then you mentioned the play. So a friend of mine who I've had on the show a long time ago, he was an offensive lineman for Cal, and the thing is, he was on the sidelines. So he was kind of like, well, he's fairly tall, but it was like, what's going on? What's going on?
And I believe I know your friend. He is the great Greg Loberg.
Bingo.
Um,
That's
and
correct.
also a friend of mine. What a great human being he is, and
Yeah. He is good.
and I know our national audience don't care, but Greg Loberg comes from one of the best football families in the history
Yeah.
of Marin County, actually the
Yeah.
history of the Bay Area. Boy, what a talented big family they are,
And
as you
even the
know.
smallest person was the one girl out of 7 kids, and she was like 6'2", 250. So yeah, they were they're all very large human beings.
And his mother was a saint, by the way, Mrs. Loberg. I loved her. What a nice lady.
Sweet, very. I didn't know her that well, but she was really sweet. I went to Ricky's funeral because he was the only one who was my age, and
Yeah, yeah.
he apparently he was paid for the Oregon Beavers, and
That
he had a
was
career, and then he hurt his knee and just kind of went downhill from there. He was hoping to play in the NFL, and it was really kind of funny. I remember being in high school, and we were going to play like a pickup game, just sort of, guys. And I remember, saying, "Hey, Ricky, you want to play with us?" And he goes, "Nah." And I said, "Why not?" And he goes, "No, I don't want to get hurt." And I'm thinking, this guy would pummel all of us, but he was looking at, his going to college, and he was smart for not playing. Hey, one quick thing here before we go to our break. So I was reading, excuse me, some college coaches are being sued by their players because they were promised NIL payments, and some were for recruiting players, and they were never paid. And so some of these players, in fact, they on a practice, they just all walked out. They just said, "You know what? Forget it. We're not going to play." And then they were going to boycott a game, and I think they ended up playing. But I mean, that's what happens when you start getting into all these payments and stuff. I mean, I'm not obviously I'm not condoning what the coaches did, but I mean, and it's not just one coach; it's a few coaches, and it's not little money. I mean, it's like 100,000 or 250,000. In one case, I think it could have been as high as 1 million. And I don't understand all this NIL stuff. It's a likeness, but I don't know how do it's like what an image, and you claim you have the image. It's like having a Honus Wagner baseball card or something. I do you know all enough about that stuff? I don't.
I mean, look, I know that let's say you're Edward Brown and you want to sell the Brown jersey, I mean, I believe the kids are able to make money off their, jerseys, for example.
Fair enough.
You know, the video games, but I mean, commercials, etc. TV, radio commercials. Where is the image and likeness? Other than that being portrayed, how is it being
I don't know.
guided and crafted? I don't know where. I mean, so we think TV, radio, video games, shirts, merchandise. Where
Yeah.
else is it being public speaking? I don't know.
No, it was something to do with it used to be like when they first came out with it, like cards, but they weren't cards; they were digital. It's like buying a painting, but not the original painting. It's like a digital. I don't know. To me, it just kind of it's sort of like I'm not a big Bitcoin guy, even though sure I missed it when it was $5,000 and then 17,000 and then 50,000, and I'm still waiting for it to not be worth $99,000 anymore. Same sort of thing because it's not backed by anything. It's just hey, we should start the Mike McDowd Edward Brown coin. We'll have
I
our
think
own.
we should.
Yeah.
Listen, and the beauty of it, it would sell. It would be like hotcakes in America, and then worldwide, it would be. Excuse me, it would be phenomenal because.
That definitely, they would definitely have to. I tell you what, while you're thinking that thought, we're going to cut to our next break. All right.
Oh boy, sorry about that. Honestly,
No,
the
I
coin
know.
idea caught me by surprise so much that it made me cough and choke.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Okay, here's a trivia question. How much did Nike pay for its swoosh logo? And I'll give you the year. It was 1971. And I'll give you a hint when we. Actually, I'll give you a hint now. Well, I'll tell you what. Give a quick guess before we go on vacation. Before we cut to our break, and I'll tell you how close you were.
are you in right now?
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
much did they pay?
Yeah.
I got a pair of
Okay,
Niner.
before we get to break,
No?
right now, apparently it is worth $26 billion. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd. Our third trivia question: how much did Nike pay for its swoosh logo?
Well, Edward, I just got a pair of Niner tennis shoes, red, and it says established in 1972 Nike. I think that's when the company actually, yeah.
So in 1971, they bought the logo, and then 72
Right. So I'm going to go. You know what? I'm going to do something. I'm going to say $1.
No, you did underestimate it.
But even back then,
Yeah,
$1
I'll give
million
you
dollars, $1 million.
no, $35.
How much?
$35. I guess someone came
Oh,
up with the logo and they said, okay, I'll give you $35 for it. And now apparently that it's worth 26 billion. Again, I think the company's probably worth 26 billion. And in fact, I think Michael Jordan makes more than all of the people who make the shoes in Malaysia because he gets all his royalties. Pretty funny. Okay, you ready for our thoughts for the day? Here we go. So today, actually earlier this morning, a man knocked on my door and asked for a small donation toward the local swimming pool. So I gave him a glass of water. Right? And people who use selfie sticks really need to have a good long look at themselves.
They do, yes. Good one.
They do. Okay, this is our first show of 2025. I'm hoping next week Russell will join us. He's always got some fun things to say. Tune in, audience. Tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Happy New Year. Thank you, military.